G'day and welcome to the Silly Point podcast, reviewing the third T20 international between New Zealand and Australia at the Cake Tin in Wellington. I'm joined by Declan Hooper from wikisapickies.com. My name is Phil Dillon, and a big win for the Aussies, and a couple of players under pressure managed to get themselves back into form, as we predicted.
Yeah, who'd drop Aaron Finch, hey? Mate, it feels like surprisingly happy to jump on a podcast and not bitch and moan about Australia being crap, hey? It was a really good all-round performance, and from a lot of players that were out of form as well, which I think was probably the most rewarding to watch.
Yeah, indeed. It's like we say, you're only one innings away from a comeback, and that's so true. It's like T20 cricket is such a fickle game. I think cricket at that level is all really fickle, and it's like, Aaron Finch goes out there and hits 60 odd. Glenn Maxwell goes and hits 60 odd. So Maxwell's innings is the difference between Australia getting 170 or 200, and he smacked Jimmy Neesham for that 28 off one over.
Incredible to watch. It was really well. It was all like, I don't think I've laughed so much watching an over of cricket. It was, breaking a seat in the stands. It was just funny. It was great to watch. Great entertainment.
Just shame there was no crowd there, eh?
Oh. It would have been just as silent, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
It was a real kind of weird sliding doors moment, though. Second ball that Aaron Finch faced, he gets done on his pads by Southey. And for all money, it was out. It goes to DRS and it's umpire's call. He rode his luck big time. That's a wider discussion. If it's hitting the stumps, it should be bloody out. But, it worked for Finch today, and he kicked on with it and looked really handy. Yeah,
this is where the DRS is wrong with umpire's call, because there was one later on in the innings. It made no difference in the end, because there was one with Kyle Jameson when it was clipping the top of the stump when he was LBW, and he'd given it out, and umpire's call, it kept it in the same situation. But if he doesn't give it out, it's umpire's call, then it stays not out. So, in my opinion, if it's clipping the stumps, I don't care how much it's clipping the stumps, it's out.
Yeah, I agree. And Shane Warne made a really good point, which doesn't happen often. But he was saying that the same ball could be out or not out depending on who the umpire is, which it's just not right. That's a wider discussion for another day. But I think it's pretty obvious that one was sometimes you get them really obvious ones, and that was definitely one of them really obvious ones that shouldn't have stood.
If that had been in the BBL, if that had been in the Big Bash, he was gone, because there was no reviews in the Big Bash. So, that's where he's rode his luck. Sometimes that works for you, sometimes it doesn't work for you. And today he rode his luck, but he cashed in. Sometimes
you need to do that. Sometimes a catch gets dropped, or something along those lines, and you've just got to say today's my day. And for Aaron Finch, it was good to see that it didn't let him affect him. I think he's a pretty mentally strong cricketer, as we've seen in the past. He's come from slumps before. He hasn't scored a 50 in 25 T20 innings, so he was due one. But it was good to see that some players would go in their shell after something like that would happen. But he did the opposite. He just played his natural game, and he later on in the innings he was doing reverse shots and all that kind of thing. But the platform he built was all just good, solid cricket shots. Up until the 10th over, they only hit 2 sixes. So, and I think it was 12 fours. So it was a really good, solid power play that built the backbone of the innings.
Yeah, and that allowed Josh Philippe to come in and score quickly. I was surprised before the game. Let's go back to the beginning. I was surprised that there was only one change. Another time, Glenn Maxwell, you could say he was lucky to stay there, and he would have given him a chance to have a look at Ben McDermott.
Ash Agard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another one. So I was surprised that they only made one change. But I suppose you've got to be in it to win it, and those two guys managed to do what they had to do.
Well, I think now this is the big thing: is how these players, how Glenn Maxwell kicks on with it, how Aaron Finch kicks on with it, because they can, like, it's the Chris Lynn effect, isn't it? All's forgiven if you hit one big innings every 10. But the difference between the greats and the ones that are going to shine at this T20 World Cup, I believe, are the ones that do it regularly, are the ones that do it 1 in 15, 1 in 10. And recently, I mean, Glenn Maxwell is a game changer, and he's always been a game changer, and Aaron Finch to a lesser extent as well. But I mean, history's history. Cricket's a results game, and it's all about your results now. And if you're not performing now, then you shouldn't be in the team. So it's great to see them scoring runs. Now it's the next step for them is to push on with it.
I don't know what they're hoping to get from the other players in this squad if you're only given one game. What are you going to get from Ben McDermott? There's 2 games left in the series. Are you going to give him both games? Because you know what Maxwell can do.
Yeah.
You know what others can do. Did you give Darcy Short and Ben McDermott the chance to have their say in the next 2 games? Same with the bowlers. That's why I was surprised to see only one change.
Why make these blokes do 2 weeks quarantine, be away from their family for what will be, a good 6-7 weeks or whatever it is, if you're not going to give them at least a game and give them a good run to prove their worth? Like, not to get too bogged down in it, but I think I don't think none of the commentators are talking saying that the Australian team's almost set in stone for the World Cup, but I really don't think it is. I really think that even Riley Meredith today comes in, he bowled really, really well.
I'm looking at Matthew Wade thinking, if he doesn't get big runs in games, what does he offer you? Philippi's probably a better keeper than he is.
Well, you've got Carey there as well.
Alex Carey to come back in.
To be honest, us having this debate now is a good thing for Australian cricket in the sense that it means that there's squad depth. I thought you mentioned it before, Wade. He looked really good, hit a nice 4 through the covers, and then 2 balls after that gets himself out again. It seems to be a recurring theme with this tour that he hits a 6 or a 4 and then gets himself out straight away after that. And I wonder if that is, we've talked about this before, I wonder, it seems to be his mentality and his mindset.
He's done it before.
Yep.
In all forms of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He'll play a cracking shot, and the next ball he'll just play a shot that you and I would be disappointed to play. To
be fair, it's a good ball that got him out, but still.
Well, it just seems to be that he's inconsistent, and I don't think you need inconsistency going into a short form World Cup. You need somebody you can rely on at the top of the order if that's where they're going to play him, which it looks like that it is. As I say, he's not a poor wicketkeeper, but he's not the best gloveman in there. Alex Carey probably ahead of him. Even Josh Phillippe might be ahead of him technically. So runs are his performance indicator. That's where he needs to be doing the runs. And if he doesn't get runs, then what else is he going to bring you? Not much, I don't think. I think that Phillippe might offer them more, and he's also as he's shown today, he can play at the top and he can play in the middle.
Moving on to Ashton Agar, 6 wickets, only the 8th bowler to do that in international T20, to take a 5-wicket haul. pretty impressive effort. I mean, considering he got absolutely carted in his first over.
6 for 18 he took, so and this whole spell he did 12 dot balls, which is pretty key in T20 internationals as well. So yeah, it was impressive. I think a lot of the New Zealand batsmen helped him out a little bit with some of the shot selection, and
they did.
But you still got to be in it to win it.
Looked a hard pitch to get off the mark.
Well, I think what was key today, it looked like it was the pitch was holding, it's turning a little bit, that it was gripping enough to make it more difficult. So the spinners were always going to be key, and that's why Mitchell Santner being not fit or unwell was a blow for New Zealand. That's where they missed him big time today. Ish Sodhi's not really the man that. Well done, Owago. He said himself after the game. He said that after being hit for 12 runs in his first over in the past, he might have not be able to come back from that. But he said it's like he's now showed a bit more maturity in the way he's bowled, and that he can come back from a poor start.
The big show showed up, and didn't he show up? At one point hit 40 off 11 balls, 28 off one over. Poor Jimmy Neesham. I think that's the problem. He one death over in the last T20. They give him an over in the middle, and I think he had an over before that. But devastating, breaking our chairs, going long, reverse sweeps, like the full catalogue.
That was pure Glenn Maxwell today. That was just like, he's unstoppable when he's like that. And if he'd come in a little bit earlier, we probably would have been talking about a century for him. So there are not many sides in the world have got somebody like Glenn Maxwell who can just really completely rip you apart. And Australia probably got two of them with Marcus Stoinis as well, because he's another one who he's either hit or miss, and when he hits, it's like, wow. I was listening to Shane Warne, and once again, I'm not. I don't agree with a lot of Shane Warne says, but I think he's right. You got to settle on your squad or your team 3 or 4 games before the tournament starts, because otherwise, if you're still sort of like halfway through the tournament, you don't know your best team, then you're in trouble. And that's maybe like Australia needs to settle on that pretty quickly. Maybe that's not why they're not going through the squad now, and they're saying, right, this is it, this is what we're sticking to, and then we bring in Cummins and Stark or whatever.
Now you mention that, I think that's possibly the case. I mean, look, New Zealand hasn't changed their squad other than Santner today either. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the next match. I can't see them dropping anyone now. I mean, there's probably a case to bring Daniel Sams back in the team, because I think he's been pretty good the whole tournament. I think Kane Richardson's probably on his last legs. Jai Richardson wasn't great either today, but he has been good in the last 2 games, probably in the pick of the bowl in the last 2 games.
I think Matthew Wade might get pulled. We give Josh Philippe the gloves, and we put Ben McDermott at the top of the order. That might be what they do, just to see what he can do. It's a cast of thousands, and we don't know which way they're going to go. So, they haven't sort of chopped it around as we thought they might.
The fact that they were 2-0 down in the series kind of forced their hand, in the sense that they can't really change it too much, because they've still got a series to win. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is to take into account is the fact that there's no crowds for there might be crowds later on, I think, for game 5, but there's definitely none for game 4. The players are professional; they can play in any condition. However, it might give the Kiwis that extra 5-10%, or distract the Australians by that 5-10%. And I think it definitely did help in the last game in Dunedin to get the Kiwis over the line when they had that raucous crowd behind them. So playing in an empty stadium, it's a different challenge.
It is. Yeah.
And I think it seemed like Australia did pretty well with it. And I think it probably helped like the likes of Glenn Maxwell and Aaron Finch kind of just keep them calm, settle the nerves, and just focus on playing their shots.
If you've got no crowd, you can hear the players as well. It's really interesting to hear what they were saying. Lots of chat from Matthew Wade, as probably what you'd expect from him. He's a bit of a chirper. He's a bit like Australia's Richard Pant, isn't he? So like
yeah. I thought it was quite interesting. Aaron Finch kept trying to play that late cut, and just like an insight into the mental game of it. He's like, poor shot, Finchy, and wrong shot, and you could hear him every time he was doing it. It was really quite interesting to see how he's quite he vocalizes his disappointment, which generally speaking, when you talk growing up, you don't show anything, don't give anything away to the bowlers and that kind of thing. It's quite funny when you see him physically distressed by the shot selection he played.
Yeah, it's almost like he was in a net session. It's like especially when there's no crowd there as well, and you're thinking maybe that's what he does at the time. We just don't hear it because the crowd noise.
Yeah, probably
overplays it. So.
The next T20 is all entertainment again. Actually, it has to be said that was probably one of the duller affairs of the T20s. They've been pretty good up until now, entertainment-wise. So hopefully we get a bit of a closer one in the next game. But we'll see, hey? Thanks for your time again, Phil, and I'll chat to you again soon, hey?
All right, mate. Thank you very much.